Adam Brown and Stephen Reynolds on the front row of the grid. It's a good start from the Renault Clio from the outside of the front row of the grid. A rocket of a start also from Tom Mensley at the wheel of the grey and orange Renault Clio, but it's Adam Brown that will lead. It is Stephen Reynolds that's there in second place. Tom Mensley, despite the good start, was up into third, but will drop down to fourth place as the black Clio of Richard Bethel goes through and is just tagged in the rear quarter lightly by Tom Mensley, who realised that the door was closing and just got out of it. Mensley therefore has to lift off the power, and that's allowed Paul Masters in the grey and Dayglow car to almost get a run on him. And with 3 wide heading round through Church Corner, 2 Renault Clios and the number 420 of Kev Smith in the Honda on the outside, whilst the fast starting Lewis Alexander Williams, where has he come from? 17th, something like that on the grid, and already he's inside the top 6 at the wheel of the light blue Citroën Saxo. We saw that car going beautifully well yesterday before it was involved in contact, got a puncture and dropped down through the order. But that is a staggering start from the Citroën Saxo, which always punches above its weight, and well, it's doing it again here, Chris. I expected it to climb through the order, just not as quickly as that.
Not that meteoric. Oh my goodness me, you don't need to be in that much of a hurry. Remember, it's a longer race this time, Mr. Alexander Williams. Yeah, that car, it qualified 4th, which, considering that, again, it's a smaller engine in the Saxo compared to the 2-litre Fiestas and Clios, that's an absolutely stunning achievement. Sadly, yeah, they ended up finishing 16th due to contacts later in the race yesterday, but look at that. I mean, you can see it's just carving its way through the field, and you know, utilising the fact that the pack is very, very condensed early on, so the bigger engine cars just cannot get their horses galloping just yet. It's an ideal time for the 77 Saxo to get up further up. Look at that, Civic alongside the Clio there, coming through the banking as we see Richard Bethel in the now black livery car chasing the 113. That's the Reynolds and Ridgeon car. As, again, these two have regularly crossed swords. Again, both very, very regulars in the very regular drivers, if I can finish the sentence properly, in the tin tops in particular. There's one of our newcomers, Richard Fowle, in the Bumblebee emblazoned or black and yellow Renault. Very nicely done, fending off the advances of the 23 car. Tom Mensley, a regular winner in this series. So I think Richard Fowle, he qualified 10th and finished 7th, so steady progress, and he's fending off probably one of the quickest drivers in the field. Yeah, but Tom Mensley not in his regular car, he's in Paul Anderton's car for this weekend. So he sold his race-winning Shell to Paul Anderton, who is in the process of building a new race car around it. But Tom Mensley out in a Clio that he's unfamiliar with, maybe not as well developed either as his own car that, as we say, he's more recently sold on. So over the start-finish line, another lap chalked into the book. That's 2 laps completed now. Fastest lap of the race to Lewis Alexander Williams at the wheel of the Citroën Saxo on the first of the flying laps. 1 minute 20.039, 120.039. That is already 9/10 of a second quicker than that particular car went yesterday. So he really has absolutely come straight out of the box unbelievably quickly. As we look at what's going on at the banking, we've got the number 21 Ford Fiesta of Chris Herwood fighting away with one of the black Clios. That will be Paul Anderton's car that is squabbling away with as they work their way round through Church. And as they do that, the race leading cars are already going to be up at the top section of the circuit. So through Rocket in, through Rocket out and up towards Peel, they will be threading their way, whilst this little quartet of cars that we were talking about, which is Herwood, followed by Paul Anderton, and then John Baker's Satsuma Racing Renault Clio, all work their way round through Rocket in and Rocket out. But Adam Brown controlling the pace from the front at the moment. The Ford Fiesta leads the horde of Clios that are queuing up behind. Gregory Smith on the back of that, another newcomer to the series. You can see the novice cross on the back of the car, doing pretty well, staying with this particular bank of cars as well. Qualified 17th, finished 13th yesterday, so again, that's where he started from today's festivities, or again, without the retirement of Michael Peters, would have started 13th, of course. But yeah, everybody's just kind of getting into the rhythms now. So everybody wanting to try and push. We need to kind of get into the rhythm early on. And speaking of Gregory Smith, then having to go, John Baker on the inside line coming down towards turn 1. And that is the progress of Lewis Alexander Williams in the Saxo, now being caught back up by the 420 Honda Civic, with Smith at the wheel of that at the moment. Then ahead of that is Paul Masters. in there clear now. That, again, the Saxo should be disadvantaged along that straight, but no one seems to have told Lewis Alexander Williams that.
Yeah, we've had a few quick little Saxos and Peugeots running in some of the lower classes in the Co-ordSport tin tops for a good number of years, and yeah, the Alexander Williams are case in point for that one, and Martin Addison as well, who always sort of batted above his average when he was out at the wheel of his little Peugeot. So yeah, Kev Smith can't pick his way past Lewis Alexander Williams at the wheel of the Saxo. Lewis Alexander Williams is bottled up behind Paul Masters at the wheel of the 119 Renault Clio as they descend downhill and through the corkscrew. He's in that dichotomy, isn't he? He wants to attack. He's got to be conscious that he might need to defend as well. So good little squabble is this one for 4th, 5th and 6th position. Renault from Citroën, from Honda. And this time as they come over the start-finish line, Kev Smith goes into full attack mode, tries to squeeze his way up the inside, heading round through turn 1. Didn't quite work. So Lewis Alexander Williams, for the moment, hangs on to what is 5th position. Now Kev Smith tries around the outside, heading up towards the banking at the wheel of the Honda, all the way around the outside if he can brave it out. But if he braves it out there, he'll still be on the outside for the next corner. It just doesn't quite work. What he needs to do now is get good drive coming off Church and use the extra grunt of that VTEC power to see whether he can haul himself through and ahead of Lewis Alexander Williams. That's what he's going to try and do, at least, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's 2 litres versus 1.6 litres, another way to look at it, but still the Saxo fending off the advantage of the Civic, heading up towards turn 7, heading up towards Rocket Inn. Again, this is where the Saxo should have that tiny bit of advantage, a bit less weight, you know, just as much torque as he needs to fend off the advantage of Kev Smith, but they are losing the back of Paul Masters in the 119 car a little bit with their squabbling. So he hasn't gone too far ahead, but there is a bit of a gap forming now between the Saxo and the car ahead. So we'll see how that transpires. Battle for second still rages on. I can see there just coming over the line as well. And that's the Reynolds Ridgeon car still fending off Richard Bethel in the 318 car. And Adam Brown, well, he's just doing Adam Brown things up front, isn't he? Continuing to keep the fastest lap to himself and build up a now 5-second lead.
Yeah, 5-second lead. Pit window 3 minutes from opening, but remember Adam Brown will have to remain stationary for an extra 30 seconds relative to everybody else that is in this race. So Adam Brown, a bit like yesterday, he's got to just drive the wheels off the thing, push, push, push as hard as he can, and then just wait and see what happens at the end of the 40 minutes. He'll also be keeping his fingers crossed that maybe a safety car sort of may aid his cause a little bit, because he's going to lose out in the first part of the race when he stops for that pit stop. A safety car in part 2 of the race could prove very well for Adam Brown, our race leader, if indeed that were to happen. Through and up towards the next section of Rocket In and Rocket Out. We're just looking at a couple of cars there, including Stephen Reynolds, who is sitting there in second place, still with Richard Bethel's black number 318 Clio not that far behind him. Also still we've got Lewis Alexander Williams under pressure from Kevin Smith's Honda. Now that has just allowed Paul Masters in the grey and Dayglow yellow Clio to escape a little bit as he sits there in 4th place. Not by a great deal, but just by an extra couple of car lengths, which sort of takes the pressure off him to a large degree. So down through the bottom of the corkscrew. Over the start-finish line goes the squabble for 2nd and 3rd. Heading out of the final corner comes the fight for 5th and 6th.
And that little gap that you see for Paul Masters is enough that means he can just focus on what's going on ahead. Just hit his lines, get through the braking zones exactly where he wants to do, unlike Lewis Alexander Williams, that has got to do everything he can to keep that Civic behind, particularly in this section of the circuit where the Civic is going to be a bit stronger, well, seemingly, although again Lewis Alexander Williams doing a sterling job of keeping the more powerful Civic behind. Again, no disrespect to Kev Smith, he's driving very, very well, but you'd have thought along that back straight is usually where we see the bigger engine cars really come to life and utilise their power advantage, but at the moment it's advantage Saxo in that particular battle. Yeah,
and as long as he's just about ahead of the Honda, or at least alongside the Honda, he's a lighter car. He'll always be able to brake that little bit later, so it's always going to play into the hands of the little Citroën Saxo. We're less than 60 seconds away from the pit window opening as well, so not this lap, but the following lap we might see a few cars trickle their way in towards the pit lane area to conduct their mandatory pit stops. Remember, after this race we've still got 2 further races coming up. The Gold Arts Magnificent Sevens are next up, and then the track road race New Millennium and Viren Builders Open Series will conclude what's been a busy weekend of racing here at Anglesey. Adam Brown already safely onto lap number 8, leading by 3.6 seconds. Lewis Alexander Williams still watching his mirrors though to try and understand what Kevin Smith is doing behind at the wheel of the number 420 Honda, who has been very much in the wheel tracks of the Citroën over the course of the last, what, half dozen laps really, that they've been like a pair of heavyweights rolling their sleeves up and slugging it out as to who wants to be in 5th place, who wants to be in 6th position. And then just behind them there's another good little fight that's going on as well, which is the number 10 car, which is Richard Fowle, fighting away with Tom Mensley. There you go, yellow Clio, followed by the grey Clio with the orange bumpers and roof to it. Now, Lewis Alexander Williams almost had the Honda alongside there. At no point has Kev Smith been fully alongside the little Citroën Saxo. So again, back to being nose to tail, they will work their way out of Rocket Out. And as they start to descend downhill, let's guide you through the order because the pit window is now open. Number 56, Adam Brown, leads the way. Second is number 113, which is Stephen Reynolds. And third is 318, Richard Bethel. Fourth is 119, which is Paul Masters. Fifth place is 77, Lewis Alexander Williams. And sixth place is Kevin Smith. Seventh place is Richard Fowle, number 10. Eighth place is number 23, Tom Mensley. Ninth place is number 55, the Fletchers. It will be James Fletcher that started the Alfa 33. And completing the top 10 is car number 50, which is Simon Stowe at the wheel of his Renault Clio. So that gives you the top 10. The pit window is now open. No takers as yet, though, for the pit lane, which means that the battle's out on track, not least of which between Lewis Alexander Williams and Kevin Smith can still continue, but it's still Citroën just ahead of Honda as they turn their way through the banking on lap number 9. Speeds begin to build again. This is the area of the circuit where you thought the Sussex Road and Race prepared Honda would maybe be able to draw itself alongside the Citroën, but that is a very well-developed Citroën over the years from the Alexander Williams pairing. And Kev Smith this time is going to try a different line, is he? Again, it's just not quite going to be enough for him. He can't quite get fully onto terms with the Citroën. And because Lewis Alexander Williams is driving perfectly well, hitting every apex, getting cleanly off the corners, it's pretty much an impossible task at the moment for Kev Smith to try and do anything other than sit behind the Citroën. There's never quite been a little gap to even poke the nose of the car, and he's never quite been close enough either. And that's all because of the exit speed and the clean exits off the corners that Lewis Alexander Williams is doing. So the baby blue, or powder blue, Citroën still continuing round. Still no takers for the pits as yet. Richard Bethel is in, actually, so from third position, car number 318, Richard Bethel, the all-black Clio, is in the pit lane. And I think we've also now seen car number 21 into the pit lane as well, which was Chris Herwood at the wheel of his Adele Motorsport Ford Fiesta. He's just leaving the pit lane now. Now back marker Lapri coming into effect now as well. Holly Brown tries to stay out of the way as best she can at the wheel of the little Honda, the EK Civic. Did hold up though Kev Smith a little bit more, so no longer is he right in the shadows of Lewis Alexander Williams. The Honda lost a little bit of time there through the traffic, so Kev Smith, who has been right up onto terms with the Citroën Saxo since the beginning of the race, now needs to just get his head down, focus and see whether he can close up any more. Up towards Rocket goes the yellow Renault Clio. That's Richard Fowle. He is now down into 8th position. Tom Mensley got past him a lap ago. Tom Mensley not only got past him, but then dived for the pit lane, so he will be back into 7th position again, I would have thought. So Richard Bethel is in, Tom Mensley is in. Into the pit lane comes John Baker as well at the wheel of the Satsuma Racing Renault Clio. That's the orange car with the green bumpers. Very apt for this weekend, Satsuma Racing, on the basis that there's a corner called Peel. But all of the front runners still as yet not opting to pit, including of course our race leader Adam Brown. Remember, he needs to build up a 30-second advantage over part 1 and part 2 of the race. Well, part 1 of the race coming to an end soon, and he's only built up a 5.4 second advantage in the lead of the race, so Adam Brown is going to have to push really hard in part 2 of the race. He's just up at the top section of the circuit at the moment. We are keeping an eye on what's going on with John Baker's pit stop in the pit lane at the moment, trying to get the seatbelts done back up again. There we go, so I think seatbelts done, all adjusted, and the number 810 Clio should be fired up in a few moments' time. John, who is one of the committee members of the club, one of the driver representatives as well, and I think he's struggling with the belts on the car, so it's slightly longer stop than he would have wished really. So Clio fires up, he will get back into the race and is going to rejoin. Way down. 13th, maybe 14th, possibly even 15th position as a result of that slowish pit stop. Now, Kevin Smith, having lost the time through the back markers at the wheel of the Honda, is now right back up onto terms with Lewis Alexander Williams again. So he's managed to catch the Honda Civic over the course of the last few laps. So we've got this fight back on again now, and because they have not pitted and others have, it is now a fight for 4th and 5th position between the number 77 Citroen and the number 420 Honda. Just up the road from them is also 119, which is Paul Masters. This is the grey car with the day-glow flashes to it, his Clio. He's not that far up the road from them. He's only, what, 2.6 seconds up the road. But if you are inside the top 7 cars at the moment, you have not pitted. And Kev Smith this time gets a really good run on Lewis Alexander Williams, and he's going to finally sweep his way through on the run-up in towards Rocket. He has been hugely patient, but then outbrakes himself, understeers immediately wide at Rocket, and straight through goes Lewis Alexander Williams again. So he'd done all of the hard work, he'd taken the place, but then missed the braking point up at Rocket. You could see huge amounts of understeer as he skittered off onto the run-off tarmac, and instantly through, I'm afraid to say, Lewis Alexander Williams goes. Now we've got black and white warning flag going out for somebody, and can't quite pick out which number it is. It was car number, it looks like 121, but we haven't got a 121 in the field. So might be car number 21, still can't quite see. Number 112 maybe, is it? 113 perhaps. Marshall's holding it out, but I can't quite see what the numbers are, but somebody's being given a warning for track penalties. 23 minutes of the race still remain, which means there are 8 minutes of the pit window still to go. Adam Brown leading the way now by 7.5 seconds and still ready to pit, and I'm afraid we're going to lose the car from 3rd position. Paul Masters, with a very smoky looking Renault Clio, is out of the race, and he's pulled the car off at the banking out of harm's way. So 318 Richard Bethel was the car that was being shown the black and white warning flag, so that was for track limits. So poor old Paul Masters retiring the number 118 Renault Clio. That means that Dominic Rose won't even get the opportunity to race it today. Everybody else therefore shuffles up a position again. So that now means that Lewis Alexander Williams is now up into 3rd position, potentially on for a podium at the wheel of the Citroen Saxo. And this car that was looking at the Honda just coming up towards the conclusion of the lap, car number 420, is going to be up into 4th position now. 7 minutes still of pit window to go. Adam Brown still lapping quicker than most. Not lapping that much quicker on that lap than the car in 2nd place, which is Stephen Reynolds. They were thousandths of a second between their relative lap times last time through, so the gap didn't change by much more than a few thousandths of a second, that was it. So it's maintained at 7.5, 8 seconds between 1st and 2nd place. Now, Richard Fowle at the wheel of his number 10 Renault Clio has now been caught by James Fletcher at the wheel of the Alpha 33 as they start to head up towards Rocket. That is for position as well, so that's for 5th and 6th position. The Renault has been reeled in by the little Alpha 33 over the course of the last few laps, so they turn their way left at Rocket in and then flick right at Rocket out up towards Peel, and then from the highest point of the circuit they start to descend back downhill again through the twists and the turns of the corkscrew, but no sign as yet of a great deal of other cars stopping. Still with what, just under 6 minutes of the pit stop window to go, so plenty of time still. And for Richard Fowle and for James Fletcher, both Clio and Alpha 33 continue round for another lap. And we've had a spin for Kev Smith, I'm afraid. The car that was in 4th position, Kevin Smith, has had a bit of a problem. That was coming round through turn number 1, where he lost the tail end of the Honda, managed to gather it up, but the car that was in 4th place lost time there. Now, he won't have lost a position because he got enough daylight between himself and the Richard Fowle stroke James Fletcher battle to rejoin. But that was a very, very large moment that he had that time through. A few sprinkles of rain just out there as well now, so that may well be as to what caught Kev Smith out. So we were expecting the weather to become slightly more inclement over the course of the day. There was about a 30 to 40% chance of rain, but it looks as though we're getting a few more spits now, and yeah, it's certainly showing, because for the first time I've seen windscreen wipers on. Richard Fowle there just putting the windscreen wipers on briefly on the yellow number 10 Renault Clio. And yeah, that top section of the circuit, we heard it was raining through the corkscrew more than anything, and yeah, there's just a few more spits of rain beginning to appear from outside our commentary box now, and that's going to make things very interesting. We've got a few more cars in the pit lane. Stephen Reynolds is in from second position at the wheel of the 113 Renault Clio. Also the number 50 Renault Clio is in, which is Simon Stowe, giving way to Justin Potter. We've also got into the pit lane Richard Fowle and James Fletcher, and as they join the pit lane, we'll go down to the pit lane with Chris Buxton.
Down in the pit lane, I have one of the pilots of the number 78 car. I have Holly Brown from the Honda Civic. How's it been out there?
Yeah, it's been really good. I'm quite a novice still, only a couple of years, but it was better than yesterday.
Yeah, so I mean, qualified 19th, finished 15th, so yeah, not a bad performance in a car that's a little bit underpowered compared to some of the field. Does that ever worry you when you got some of the quicker cars coming up behind you, or do you just kind of let them get on with it and do your own thing?
Well, yeah, at the beginning it was very, very scary. Like, those really, especially in qualifying. Yeah, that's very, very scary. But yeah, it's been now I don't bother it as much, but before I did. Yeah, it's a bit scary. But I just try and do my own race and just have fun. It's really enjoyable.
And now the weather looks like it's going to finally turn. Are you glad to be out of the car now that the weather's just starting to get a bit more slippery?
Yes, I'm definitely happy to get out now. I'll let Paul do it. He's a much more competent racer than I am.
Good to see you. Thank you very much, Holly Brown, one of the drivers of the number 78 Civic. More pit stops happening. Back up to you, Mark, in the commentary box.
Yeah, I can see that into the pit lane has come car number 57, which is Greg Smith, but more importantly, into the pit lane has come Lewis Alexander Williams to hand over to Mark Alexander Williams. At least that's the information that we've had, because I think yesterday the information we was given suggested it was one that was starting, and it was actually the other. So again, information we were given today suggests it one, your driver starts, but we've heard it's the other. So maybe Chris Buxton down there in the pit lane might be able to clear that up by simply interviewing whoever's got out of the car, and that will confirm whether we've got it right today or not. 50-50 chance. Odds are we've got it wrong, I would say. So Adam Brown, the race leader, into the pit lane. He's served his 30-second penalty, and he's just about to exit his way back out of the pit lane at turn number 1. We can also see that the Citroen Saxo of Lewis Alexander Williams, giving way to Mark Alexander Williams, is making its way back out onto circuit. So the little Citroen back out there. Now, we haven't as yet had car number 420 in, which is Kevin Smith, to hand over to Paul Clovier. So that car that is just heading round through Rocket Out is the only car that hasn't as yet served a pit stop. Now, there is still about a minute and 45 seconds to go before the pit window closes. So if it doesn't stop this time through, there might not be enough time left on the clock to get the Honda into the pit lane before the pit window closes. So I'm hoping as it heads down to the bottom of the corkscrew, it peels in towards pit lane entry. Bang on cue, yes it does. So that is our final pit stopper now heading in towards the pit lane area. So Kevin Smith, long old stint for him, and he will head in towards the pit lane, which means that that car actually, even though it's coming to the pit lane, has literally just picked up the lead of the race, but it will lose it again because Adam Brown will this time through unlap himself and will then go into the lead of the race the next time round. So Adam Brown will see whether he's done enough to re-pick up the lead of the race. And while we're contemplating that, let's go back down to Chris Buxton, who's in the pit lane.
Oh, your first race in that car. Oh, I see. Oh, I mean Lewis's first car in the race. Ah, beg your pardon.
Our first race in that car, he rolled it.
Excellent.
7 years ago.
So down here in the pit lane, we have got Mark Alexander Lewis from the number 77 Saxo. So qualified 4th. Yesterday definitely didn't go your way from what looked like a rather lively pit lane entrance. A puncture, was it?
It was, yeah. Lewis took some contact from the red and black Civic on the offside rear, and it bent the wheel, and so the tyre went down. So he came around that corner and completely lost it. I thought, I'll go in the pits.
I mean, he did the right thing, in fairness, and it was a very stylish pit lane entrance. But, I mean, what an incredible run. So, again, starting 16th as a result, you were well inside the top 10 by the end of the first lap. What a storming start to the day.
We were lucky. We were lucky. I just got a clear run through and, put the power down and I was lucky. So, you know, that's great. He's a long way behind us. I'm very happy.
You've done a stunning job. So you've made the smallest car in the grid, the widest one out there.
It was unbelievable. Yes, I mean that Honda has got so much power. And I was watching him with Lewis yesterday, and he was just leaving Lewis for dead on the straight. So I thought, you know what, I'll keep to the inside. I'll make him work for it. And actually, he did, and he tried to outbrake me at the end and went straight on. So that was fantastic. That was the best highlight of my weekend.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mark Alexander Williams, and best of luck to the number 77 Saxo for the rest of the race. Back up to you, Mark, in the commentary box.
There you go. I did say we got a 50-50 chance of getting it right, and guess what we did? We got it wrong again today as well. So hopefully we'll sort that. I was originally told it was Mark Alexander Williams, but then somebody else suggested it was Lewis that started, and we went for that and got it wrong. So races just settling down now. Remember, Adam Brown, who was leading, had to stop for that extra 30 seconds in the pit, so he's still trying to catch up with other cars that had shorter pit stops than him. So at the moment, it is number 113, the John Ridgeon driven Renault Clio that leads the race, but by half a second from the black Clio of Richard Bethel, and those two are absolutely together coming up towards the final corner now. They're about to come over the start finish line, so it's silver Renault Clio from black Renault Clio for the lead of the race up towards turn number 1. Now John Ridgeon has not long been behind the wheel of his car, whereas for Richard Bethel, he's driving solo in this one, so he already knows what the conditions are. He's been able to evolve and adapt to those few little sprinkles of rain that we have, which I'm thankful to say now appear to have disappeared to a degree. So the track is still absolutely fine. The few little clouds that were above that were looking ominous have moved away to a degree. It's certainly clouded over. It's not particularly cold here still at the moment, but the battle for the lead of the race heads through the kink and up towards the braking area for Rocket, with John Ridgeon just watching where Richard Bethel positions his car. Richard Bethel, almost. The car was dancing around on the edge of adhesion there as it got a little bit unsettled, and the back end of the Clio was sort of bounce, 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 bounce at the fastest part of the circuit. He gathered it up just to make sure that it was under control by the time he got onto the brakes and in towards Rocket, but just going to show how hard Richard Bethel is pushing to try and take up the lead of the race here. Didn't quite work there, but that would have spiked his heart rate a little bit, I would have thought, but they are still together as they descend back downhill for the 20th time now through the corkscrew, with 12 minutes of this race remaining and still, 3-4 Clio lengths between first and second place. Stephen Reynolds put in a good stint to hand over to John Ridgeon. He continues to lead. The lead advantage is just 0.9 of a second.
And not too far behind is Adam Brown in the 2 seconds a lap quicker car that he is currently running. So these two will have some defending to do. Bit of a lock-up there from John Ridgeon coming through the banking there. He kicked up some dust from somewhere, but doing his best to hang on to the lead. I mean, Richard Bethel has been going great guns in that car.
Yeah, he really has been going well, but the difficulty is if those two squabble and hold each other up, Adam Brown is going to be on them even quicker, isn't he? So we'll have to wait and see as to exactly how much squabbling is being done. John Ridgeon still leading the way. Richard Bethel not a little bit more under control heading up towards Rocket this time than he was on the lap prior, where the tail end of the car was really skipping around on him. So from Rocket's in to Rocket out, they accelerate their way up towards Peel. Richard Bethel using all of the curbs and bouncing across it on the exit of Rocket. Through Peel he will go. The car still looks a little bit understeering mid-corner for me, Richard Bethel's car. And then from there it's downhill and in towards the corkscrew. Now, these two cars, first and second, were lapping 1 minute 21s, let's say. Last time through it was actually a 120.9 and a 121.3, but let's say a 1 minute 21. Adam Brown was a 1 minute 19.3, so he was 7.2 seconds off the car in second position at the wheel of the number 56 Ford Fiesta. This time through, as he comes over the start-finish line, he remains 7.2 seconds off the car in second place, so he's not really close this time through the Ford Fiesta in third place.
No, that's a bit of a surprise considering how fast Adam Brown has been thus far in that car. Now, it was beginning to rain a little bit when I was down in the pit lane. It seems to have stopped, so yet again. So the rain has taken some teasing hints from Jamie Keevil from the last race, and he's now deciding to flirt with us on whether it's actually going to open up. The sky is still overcast, but the racing is still just as hot as ever. Again, coming up into turn 7, Richard Bethel keeping the car nice and steady, doing what he can to get the power is near enough the same weight, give or take, is about the same between the two cars up front. And Reynolds and Ridgeon have had that car for some considerable time. There's a big understeer again, but drivers have told us time and again throughout the weekend that section from turn 7 right the way through to the corkscrew has been very slippery, and we've seen the quick dry powder go down quite a few times. Now, right on cue, there is some more coming into the pit lane there. So I wouldn't be surprised if that understeer problem maybe gets a little bit worse as the tyres start to give up. Adam Brown, I'd say he's going to time this time around. Fastest out of the race indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. 1 minute 18.239 from Adam Brown is the new fastest lap of the race. He closes up the gap to 4.6 seconds now between himself in third place and Richard Bethel, who sits there in second position. We've got 9 minutes of this race to go. Adam Brown yesterday couldn't quite get past the race leader, so missed out on victory by 0.6 of a second. Well, similar story today, isn't it? He might have stopped for 30 seconds longer, but he's catching hand over fist the leading pair. Can he catch them? Can he get past not just one, but can he get past two cars now in the remaining 8 3/4 minutes? That's the question.
I don't think he faced such a big deficit though in lap time last time around as he did this time. So Adam Brown is distinctly quicker than the two clears ahead. Again, no disrespect to Steve Reynolds or John Ridgeon or Richard Bethel, the driver of the cars ahead of Adam Brown. No disrespect at all. Indeed, any of our drivers taking part front or back, they all do an amazing job to give us great entertainment here at Anglesey. But Adam Brown is just, how on earth is he getting so much pace out of what is still a 2-litre Fiesta? Yes, there's very little standard on the car, granted, but it's got the same engine size as the two cars he's chasing, and he is absolutely destroyed. And there it is. So Richard Bethel is one of that understeer has really gotten much worse in his car. He's really fallen off the back of John Ridgeon, as Adam Brown is really eyeing up that certainly initially third place. He'll have that, I would think, in the next couple of laps. I'm gonna stick my neck out. I think Adam Brown is going to take the top spot before the checkered flag falls.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm with you. The pace he's got at the moment will allow him to catch the cars ahead, and that will be helped by Richard Bethel, who's just had a massive moment coming out of church. So straight away through goes Adam Brown. No second opportunity needed because of that Larry moment from Richard Bethel. So Adam Brown through into second place now, and that massively eases his cause because he didn't have to catch and then spend a while trying to work out how he could get past Richard Bethel. Richard Bethel made it easy for him. He was instantly through, no time lost. And now what Adam Brown could do is concentrate his efforts on trying to catch the car that leads this race still, the number 113 silver and orange checkered Renault Clio that's in the hands of John Ridgeon for part 2 of the race. Well, John will be threading his way down through the corkscrew at the moment. Adam Brown is only going to be a couple of seconds adrift of him in second position, and they're about to start lap number 25 in a few moments. So there goes John Ridgeon over the start-finish line. There now goes the Ford Fiesta of Adam Brown over the start-finish line. And Adam Brown will surely be able to see the car that he's trying to hunt down, because they'll both be at a similar section to the circuit. One going out of the banking, one going into the banking, and the man from Stoke-on-Trent area, Staffordshire area, Adam Brown pushing hard for a win.
You could hear the Clio that Adam is chasing, the tyres just screaming for mercy coming through the banking. So again, I would think that John Ridgeon may well be suffering a similar problem to Richard Bethel, although it does seem to be affecting the 318 car a little bit more than the 113 at the moment. There it is again. You just hear the squeal as the tyres are giving everything they've got, but the car is demanding much more of it. Adam Brown just seems to be just almost effortless from that Fiesta at the moment. There's our lead car on stream at the moment coming through turn 9. Can he? It's all going to be down to, can he keep Adam Brown at bay, as that gap is disappearing at a rate of knots as the stream now looks at the battle between the 57 and 10 cars. So 10 is Richard Fowle, As we said before, he's a newcomer to the club in that black and yellow car, and he's chasing on for
Greg Smith.
Which position is
It's
that?
not for position now.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, as you say, Greg Smith just let that one go. But I'll say it's been a really good run for the Scotsman. He's qualified 10th, finished 7th last time around. Finds himself in 6th this time, so good effort. And there's the Alexander Williams Saxo having an argument with the Fletcher Alfa Romeo as they now come through down towards, that is
Corkscrew.
That's Corkscrew, yes. So again, the Saxo dispatching of the Fletcher and Fletcher number 55. Alfa Romeo still going on and still keeping himself very firmly in the race.
Yeah, so just under 5 minutes still remain. It is still John Ridgeon that leads the way by 4.3 seconds from Adam Brown as a result of slower lap, overtaking, a bit of traffic. Adam Brown has just lost a little bit of the advantage that he was looking to try and gain over the race leading Renault Clio, which is already now on its 26th lap of the race. And as it heads down through the corkscrew, he's also managed to get a back marker between himself and the chasing Ford Fiesta. So it's Paul Turner's EK Honda Civic that is between race leading Clio and second place Ford Fiesta. So up towards the conclusion of another lap comes our race leader. Adam Brown bounces over the curbs in second place in his pursuit of the car that lies ahead. What was a 4.2 second gap changes, in fact what was a 4.4 second gap comes down to a 4.2 second gap. So it's going the right way, but Adam Brown at the moment needs to find something else because the rate of close is not sufficient with 3 3/4 minutes to go.
Have I cursed somebody else in this race? Again, I'm going to be fired before the day is out. But yeah, Adam Brown, has he burnt the best out of those tyres? Has he just used up a little bit too much chasing down the leaders? Again, we will see in the next 3.5 minutes whether Adam Brown has got anything left to close down the gap between himself and John Ridgeon. I say the Reynolds and Ridgeon car has been a regular mainstay in the Co-ordSport tin tops for a number of years, so they know how to chuck that car very effectively. And if the Citroen Saxo can be big enough to fend off a Civic, then I'm sure that John Ridgeon will find a way to make Adam Brown's life that much more difficult if he does manage to close in on the Clio.
So we're into the final 3 minutes of this race. After the John Ridgeon and Adam Brown car, we've got Richard Bethel, car number 318, still in third place. Tom Mensley in the number 23 Clio's fourth. The Lewis Alexander Williams driven Citroen Saxo is fifth, and Richard Fowle in the yellow Clio, number 10, completes the top 6 at the moment. But over the start-finish line go the leading pair once more. There's still a bit of traffic between the two of them. It's the orange Renault Clio of John Baker that separates first from second place on the road, but Adam Brown decisively should sneak up the inside of that as they head round through the banking this time through. So the lap they're on, and probably one more thereafter really before we see the checkered flag. So I think it's penultimate lap this time through. We'll have to wait and see whether John Ridgeon could squeeze another one out of it. Now, did I see Paul Clothier? Was he going slowly there at the wheel of that Honda? It looks to have slowed slightly, doesn't it, the Honda?
That's exactly what I was wondering. It's that does not look a very happy Honda Civic, does it? As they're working their way down through the corkscrew, that it doesn't seem to be attacking that anywhere near as much as usual. Not in the pits though, so it's a problem that they can feel like they work with. Maybe we just caught him as he's recovering from a mistake, so we didn't quite see him coming down from turn 9. So, again, if the understeer is becoming a problem for multiple cars, which wouldn't be a surprise, then he could have been recovering from an issue. Or he's just going to say, there's only a couple of laps left, I'm going to get this one here unless it detonates on me.
So up towards the conclusion of another lap very shortly will come John Ridgeon. There is not sufficient time for him to do much more. Let's have a quick look. Oh, it's going to be literally bang on the 40 minutes, isn't it? So I think this will be the last lap of the race because there's about 1 minute and 20 remaining on the clock. It takes him 1 minute and 20 to do a lap. So I think he's on to the last lap now. Lead advantage, 1.4 seconds. That's still a lot for Adam Brown to catch and then get past.
I'm going to bet against you. I reckon this is the penultimate lap, which will catch a few people out because there's a number of drivers that will try and save some weight in the fuel and only allocate for X amount of laps. And if somebody just manages to beat the clock and go that extra lap, and we've seen it before, drivers run out of fuel on that final lap because the timer hasn't quite gone his way. But what John Ridgeon can't do is just slow down that little bit to allow the clock to tick out, because Adam Brown is going to to have him in that last section, but we will see. I await to be proven wrong.
Yeah, checkered flag isn't being readied by the start line marshal just at the moment at least. We've got 25 seconds of the race still remaining. Round through Peel for the final time, or possibly penultimate time, comes John Ridgeon, with the ever-present danger of Adam Smith now within, 5-6 car lengths of him. They'll head down through the corkscrew. The timer is shown as only 12 seconds remaining. I think this may well possibly be towards the checkered flag, but are they going to get it unfurled in time? It's going to be nip and tuck, you know. Over the start-finish line they'll go. With a second remaining, we're going to get one more lap out of it. So Adam Brown now is within 0.3 of a second of the lead of the race. He missed out by 0.6 of a second yesterday, having stopped for an extra 30 seconds relative to everybody else. Well, he's now in a similar position again, is that he needs to attack. If he wants to win, it would come with another extra 30-second penalty, which would see him on 60 seconds for the rest of the season. Or is he just going to hold station, allow one of his competitors to pick up the win? They would then pick up their 30-second penalty. And it sort of puts him in bizarrely, even though he finishes second, you could argue it puts him then in a stronger position for the rest of the season. So down through the kink they will go, up towards the braking area for Rocket. John Ridgeon leading the way. Stephen Reynolds, having done all of the hard work in the number 113 Renault Clio in the early stages of the race. Here's John Ridgeon going to bring the car back towards the checkered flag. I think Adam Brown has settled for second place. He doesn't seem to be attacking as much this time through. I think he's playing a canny game here, knowing that if he wins, it's another 30-second penalty. And he is, I think, just going to bide his time. There's still a bit of traffic to deal with, which will be Paul Clothier's Honda as they come down in towards the corkscrew for what is now without question the final time, because the clock has ticked to 0. And as they head out of the corkscrew and up towards the checkered flag, it's going to be a win for the number 113 Renault Clio of Stephen Reynolds and John Ridgeon that claim the win. Adam Brown finishes a quarter of a second adrift in second position. Richard Bethel at third on the road, but his car has picked up some sort of time penalty, as has the car that's fourth on the road at the moment, which is Tom Mensley. So we'll have to wait and see whether on corrected times we do still end up with Richard Bethel finishing in what is third position. It depends on the time penalty that he's picked up ultimately. Here comes Tom Mensley in fourth place, and wait for confirmation. I think Richard Bethel probably is classified in third. Fourth is still showing us Tom Mensley, and then we'll wait and see as to what everybody else looks like. So here now comes Lewis Alexander Williams over the start finish line. And the rest of the field all carve their way through. So it's track limits penalties for them, we gather. And it has meant that even on corrected times, it has not been altered at all. So the order is as we expected it to be, and therefore it is Stephen Reynolds and John Ridgeon that will claim the win in the Co-ordSport's Tin Tops. Adam Brown second, Richard Bethel, even on corrected times, will hang on to third position. So the cars making their way down into the Parc Fermé area, and what has been a couple of stunning races really from the Co-ordSport's Tin Tops. And we should very shortly be able to confirm the results for you before these cars are all packed away and they're brought back out again for their next round of the championship season, which for the Co-ordSport's Tin Tops, we'll tell you when that is in a few moments' time. So let's confirm the results to start with. It is going to be Stephen Reynolds and John Ridgeon that claimed the win, from Adam Brown in second place, and Richard Bethel was third. Tom Mensley was fourth place, ahead of Mark and Alexander Williams. Mark and Lewis Alexander Williams in fifth place. Richard Fowle completes the top six. In seventh place, it was Christopher Herwood. Eighth place was the pairing of the Fletchers, James and Steve, with their Alpha. Ninth place went the way of Gregory Smith, and completing the top 10 was the Honda, Kevin Smith and Paul Clothier. Outside of the top 10, in 11th place, it was number 155, which was Thomas Spencer and Paul Anderton. 12th place went the way of Holly Brown and Paul Turner, with John Baker finishing as the last of the finishers in 13th position. Problems for Stowe and Potter, for Masters and Rose, and for Peters as well, all having had retirements over the course of that race. So 2 more races still to come up for you here with the Classic Sports Car Club at Anglesey. That fantastic backdrop of the Snowdonia National Park from across the bay that we are looking at, and the 2 final races coming up will be for the Co-ordSport Magnificent Sevens. They're next up, 40-minute race for them, and our final 40-minute race of the day. The final 40-minute race of the weekend will be for the Track Road Race New Millennium and Viren Builders Open Series. So we can hand you back down to Parc Fermé and Chris Buxton, who's with the winners.
Down here in the winner's circle, familiar cars, and John Ridgeon barely manages to fend off the advances of Adam Brown for the win. Let's go have a chat with the driver of the 113, bringing that one home as they congratulate each other, which is always good to see. John Ridgeon, oh my goodness me, you had so much to do there, didn't you?
Fantastic race, yeah, one problem at a time. Obviously Richard Bethel to start with, and then obviously Adam caught me up, and pressure was on. I did the last few laps looking in my mirrors and not looking where I was going, really. So it's fantastic race.
Now you and Steve Reynolds have had this car for a good number of years. You've been a force to be reckoned with, getting stronger and stronger in the tin tops. Will we enjoy your company for the rest of the year?
You will indeed, absolutely. Yeah, wouldn't miss it for the world. We missed Thruxton because of a gearbox problem. Happens, but yeah, we're planning to do the full season, especially if it goes this well. Be foolish not to.
Well, you were just giving everybody else a chance, weren't you? Missing Thruxton. Congratulations on the win. Great stuff then, John Ridgeon. Adam Brown, my goodness me. I mean, qualified on pole by a comfortable margin yesterday, then just thwarted to the win again. I mean, what a stunning performance, but a bit of frustration probably mixed in there. Were it not for the 30-second penalty, who knows where you would have finished.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously the 30-second penalty from winning at Thruxton sort of hurt us a little bit this weekend. I had a bit of an issue with my car towards the end of that race, so the front left tyre was just vibrating like crazy, so I didn't want to push too hard. But fair play to them all in the Clios. They put up a good fight today, and sadly I was just a bit short on both days.
But I mean, even having to make up that 30-second penalty to finish twice within half a second, you've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, very pleased. I mean, we've come a long way with this car with the support of AC Valve Alliance as well as a few others. We've had a lot of issues over the last season, and it's nice that we can finally get to the finish of some races and really show the potential of myself and the car. So yeah, brilliant weekend.
Proven, very much so. Congratulations on a fine podium again, Adam Brown. Let's head over this way to where we'll find a plasterer by trade and a lightning Clio driver by night, well, by weekend at least, Richard Bethel. What a run.
Yeah, good run. New car, so good run.
So yeah, the previous one was blue, if I remember. I didn't know if it was a repainted one or a brand new one for you. So I mean, it's done well. Yeah. First time out, straight away on the podium. So you where were you? So you qualified. You qualified a bit further down the field. You were sixth yesterday, but you still came home in third. A little bit further to these two, or are they slightly unarranged just yet?
Unarranged yet, so.
You're a modest man, but there's still plenty in the car, and you've got clearly the talent to do it. But will we be seeing you for the rest of the year?
Yeah.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much, Richard Bethel, and a fine podium for the Clio. Next up, it is the second race of the Co-ordSport Magnificent Sevens.